Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week, we're doing an MMG one with some new faces on the content team. Dude, David's mouth is like, he's ready. Dude, he's like
so excited.
So, David, Jack, and then Ricky returning from the MMG team.
Back.
And you guys are both on the content forefront here at MMG. And there's a lot going on in the content world right now. So we're going to dive into that today. We're going to dive into a little bit of your guys' story, what got you into content, and go from there.
These will be a little bit shorter stories than we're used to.
I know. But
Yeah.
did you see how talkative they were before? And then all of a sudden we started rolling and they I think somebody taped his mouth shut.
And
Well,
I was
no, I'm
saying that
just,
because they're much younger.
No, I'm just listening. That's you starting it off, so you got to listen a little bit, kind of get it rolling, you know.
All right, cool.
You want to start with me?
Yeah, we're going to start with David. Look,
Okay.
we're going to put him on the hot seat right
So
out
I have
the gate.
like 3 or 4 stories of how I got started, but I'll go with the one that I normally tell people.
I would like to hear each version.
Okay, so version 1, I might only have one actually, but the first one is so I was in college for web development, and I did that for about 2 years. Tried to find a job in it. It just didn't go too well. Not a lot of jobs in the Iowa area, from what I could tell. So then I used to travel a lot. My mom worked for Delta Airlines, so I'd get free flights. So we'd go to Europe and Amsterdam and all these cool places. And then my mom got me a camera one year for Christmas, kind of like off the wall gift. It was a Nikon, unfortunately.
Ooh.
But hey, they just bought red, so I don't want to hear it. But
They need to do something because if not, they're going to
they had to do something, yeah. But so I got that, started taking travel photography, and then that just kind of spiraled into like more portraits and then freelancing, and then I got my first industry job last year for a martial arts company, and then I met Ricky at the gym when I was working out, shooting some content for one of their guys, and he came up, he approached me, he's like, "You want to shoot some weddings?" I said, "Heck yeah, I do." Shot some weddings, and then that kind of developed into where I am now. Yeah, the wedding guy.
When you first got a camera, I had multiple cameras before, but none of them sparked an interest in me taking photos by any means. And that was from when I was younger. I'd gotten, those old school digital cameras that, there's people I know that are like, oh, that kickstarted me doing content. I was like, oh, I got that thing. I had no earth. I took 5 photos with it, and I was like, well, this isn't really that cool. And I just never really sparked an interest for it until a little bit before MMG, I started figuring out how it was leveraged into business, but then it was also I actually did start enjoying it a lot. So what was it when you got that camera that was just it's an off-the-wall gift, but you're like, hey, I actually do enjoy this?
Yeah, I think it was my family has always been manual labor or teachers or, just normal stuff. And it was something different that I could do that would kind of stand out in my family. So that's kind of what struck an interest in it. Just, trying to be different and doing something creative. Because I would always want to be creative, but I was kind of I had a military father, so it was always forced to do athletics and all that. So I never really had the chance to kind of do my own thing. So it was a chance for me to do that. And it worked out pretty well. So
Now you're here. How old are you right now?
23.
23. You got a lot of road in front of you.
Yeah. Well, at least halfway through. Well, no, I'm not halfway through my life. Maybe when I'm 50, I'll be halfway through. And when I'm like a quarter of my life, quarter life crisis. So
Quarter life crisis.
it's time to buy a new lens. Yeah.
So, Jack, when did you start falling into content? It could have been last year when you were in 7th grade or something.
Oh, yeah, all right. So I think I was 15 years old, and I lived in a pretty cool area. So the sunset, Kansas sunsets are always pretty golden and just they pop. So I'd be riding my bike around all the time, see a cool sunset, snap a photo, post it on the gram. And then I saw my sister got a camera. She didn't use it, and it was actually a Rebel T5.
Nice.
So it was really, really
Very nice.
starter camera. And I picked that up and I got my first car, and that's where I started, was car photography. All my friends got their new trucks, lifted trucks, wheels, tires, everything. They were like, let's go out and shoot. And I'm like, all right, put out this potato content, just looked terrible. I mean, then I kind of just picked up the 70D was my next camera. And that was the first thing like I actually spent like a decent amount of money on. At the time, it was a decent amount of money. It's like $400, but you know, that's a lot to me when I'm like 16 years old. And just started going out traveling to all these car events, like drag races in Mexico. But kind of just got a niche for.
You went to drag races in Mexico?
Yeah,
Like-
Mexico.
Like
It's
the-
just
That's what they have to say.
Yeah,
Mexico,
This was
Missouri, or
filmed
the
in Mexico.
country?
Mexico, Missouri. Yes.
Okay, now I'm catching your drift. Guess I'm not in the scene. So
No. And then I just
wink,
started.
wink. It's in Mexico.
I mean, all the car events, people just started hitting me up and asking me to come shoot for them privately and all that. Then I met Devin. Actually, he's the one that really, really helped me elevate. I've known him for about coming up on 4 years, and he got me into Redline Rally, and then I met all those guys. Went pretty far from there, so, and then now I'm here actually. But the thing with like content and all that, I just like really wanted to prove people wrong in a way, because they didn't expect me to go to where I am now. Like actually recently my football team, we have a group chat still, like we're all kind of close in a way. They saw that I was doing marketing stuff and they were like, what do you even know about marketing? I'm like, dog, I'm just doing the content. I don't worry about that stuff. I don't know numbers. I don't know math like that. That's their job. But I mean, that's kind of where I'm at now.
So I think it was kind of funny when he's talking like 15 that he's dropping stuff on the gram. Like that wasn't a thing when I was 15. So I mean, we had like Bebo and MySpace, like way cooler platforms at the time.
I had the gram when I was 15.
Yeah. No, I'm really old now, I guess. So working with a bunch of children. But I think content is something that is holding a lot heavier kind of space in the younger demographic, for the fact that they had Instagram, that people could go on and see this content. And Facebook was like starting when I was like coming up. Like it was there. You had MySpace, you had like Bebo, you had these different social platforms, but they weren't targeted around content. And I feel like Instagram was the first platform that kind of dropped that said like, hey, this is just all content oriented. And you had Twitter out there that people were just, I mean, that wasn't content oriented. Like, so we talk about all the time that the high schoolers that are coming up now and the younger crowd, even from you guys, has had cameras in their hands since 7th grade. And I think the content space is changing very, very quickly, and the level of it is getting very high end really quickly. That I look at 15 when people posted photos. Like I said, they're off these like digital cameras that are the most atrocious photo or video you had ever seen.
It was just cool that you took a photo and now it's on the internet and other people can see it. You're like, whoa, that was cool.
Yeah. So it just became like, I think the simplicity of that to what it's coming into, and I don't even know where it's going in the next 5 years. But what like part of it can be in the photography side, the video side, like what was it that, because I look for the eye in content creation, and there's certain people that want to do content. They're like, hey, I'm really passionate about it. I love doing this, but they do not have an eye for it at all. And it's kind of hard sometimes when you talk to those people, and because you can tell they have a lot of passion for it and they really are interested in it, but they don't have the eye to it. So what do you think sometimes, like when you guys look at something, how is it that you create what you do?
I think one of the main things for me is I saw it in a video once whenever I was first starting out, and it's something that really stuck with me. And it was talking about all these people that would go shoot at the Golden Gate Bridge, and they all go to the same exact spot and take the same exact photo. So what he had said was, go get something different, because that's what's really going to stand out. So whenever I'm going to get content, I kind of like put myself in the perspective of like a normal person. What would they get? And then I try to get something better than that, or something different from what a normal person would get. Something that you wouldn't see every day.
My excuse is ADHD. I'm here, there, and gone. Like if I see something, I'm not even paying attention to that anymore. It's something else that's in the distance that caught my eye. Like I couldn't describe how I do what I do. It's something that I guess in a way you could just be born with, but it also takes a lot of practice, trial and error. Like I didn't get to where I was just off the bat, obviously. Like you've seen where I started with you guys and where I'm at now. It took a lot of just what's the word for it? It's consistency, learning, all that. I mean, you don't just get good without trying.
Yeah. And to David's point, I think on seeing things just in a completely different light, I look at how many people can take a photo of a car. You can give 100 people a camera and go say take 5 photos of a car, and you're going to get 500 different photos. And it's from the level of which they take the photo or how they do it is so vastly different from person to person on just how they see it. And like we had a personality coach in the office recently and hands a $100 bill around the room and just asks people to describe it. And it's crazy how everyone you can hand around a dollar bill and how so many people see it so differently. To where it's like, there's some content I see that blows up and goes viral, and I'm like, I have no earthly idea how that happened. Like, and then there's some stuff
that's most of the time.
Yeah.
99% of the time.
Sometimes you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of the times that's not the case.
It is. It's crazy with content on, and even with TikTok now, I think that changed the space again. I think when you look back at the dominant players, you look at Facebook as the one that was, okay, you can take this camera, you can post something online. Mm-hmm. Then Instagram started changing it to this like photography side that brought this like higher level content space. And then TikTok came, and YouTube was always there, but YouTube was that longer form.
So I would argue YouTube probably played a bigger role in the full content development, at least from the videography side.
I think a full spectrum of content, 100%. I think TikTok brought that short form video.
Oh, for sure.
No, I think we're missing Vine, actually. That's where it was like back in like 2008, 2010.
No, Vine was like 2012.
TikTok,
was it?
Like
I had my Vine right when I
TikTok.
got to college. So that was 2012.
Vine was when all those weird videos were coming out, and that's
That
where
was
like
when
a lot
David
of
Dobrik
those
started.
you're seeing a lot of those content creators now that are actually doing movies and stuff. Like they got their start from that. Like,
Dude, we should bring Vine back. Vine was
We
dope.
should
Honestly,
call it
I mean-
like something else though that rhymes with
it'd just be
Vine.
too flooded with the new crowd, though. I mean, TikTok's kind of got its own niche, so
Yeah.
I don't think we need any more short form content.
no, there's
No, we need to make it long form again.
Why do you think we need long form?
So the way I see it, it's like it used to be long form. Now it's going more to short form. So long form is kind of a way to stand out from what everybody else is doing.
I miss the story behind like long form. That's what I like to see. Like with photography, if there's a story behind the image, then it just means that much more. So
Yeah, it's kind of like it's harder to keep people engaged for a longer amount of time. So it is more of a challenge. But if you can figure out what the magic sauce is, you'll get more attention. People will watch it for longer. Yeah.
the sauce.
Attention is probably one of the most valuable things in our world right now. And most people actually don't understand it at all. And it's crazy when we talk to business owners that pay companies out there to post some bullshit graphics all the time that nobody wants to see.
National Pencil Day.
Yeah. National whatever day it is. And nobody wants to see that. They don't want to see that. Like they want to follow their own page.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to understand if you're going to go get someone's attention on social platforms, you have to understand how to earn it. And I do like the long form content. I like the short form content for a mass amount of numbers because looking at from a business standpoint, how do you compete on putting short form content out there and then go compete against the ad space? Short form content gave an organic leverage to compete against ads. And you can use that in ads that you're not going to run an ad on a 10-minute video.
Yeah.
Attention span is just too low. But when you can get people in the funnel to watch long form, same way TV shows, there's a reason they put a trailer together for a movie. They don't show you the whole movie. It's a teaser. They show you a little bit to say, hey, okay, now you're intrigued. Come watch the whole thing. But when we got into podcasting was such a different space because we were so used to trying to capture people for 30 seconds that we're like, what does it look like trying to capture somebody for an hour? Mm-hmm. Like you step out of one arena that this arena you're competing with anyone with an iPhone. That you step over into podcasting space, your new competitors now are Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu. You're competing attention span of an hour now. Like, it's a whole different viewpoint of even being in that arena and that attention side of it. But I do think YouTube's a huge lever in overall social media that I think is probably downplayed the most.
I would yes, I'd say it's underutilized probably, but I meant more so on like the trajectory of content. YouTube had a massive role because that's when everybody started getting like the YouTube kits that had the Rode shotgun mic and the Gorilla Pod, and
the Gorilla Pod was a huge thing. You didn't see a camera without one for a while.
So I think that's part of the reason why there's so many young people that are in it though, because like watching Casey Neistat I was watching him in college, and that's when I got more into it. But
I was watching him in middle school.
No, exactly. So those channels just filter down, and kids are getting exposed to it and being able to learn at such a younger rate now.
Yeah, and I do think the day and age of everyone thinking that they're going to be professional YouTubers is pretty crazy, because I've been to some high school deals that like our high school hit us up to come back and talk to classes and stuff. And you like ask these kids like what their future looks like and things that they want to go do. You get like a weird amount of kids in there that are like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a professional YouTuber," and I'm like, "Bullshit, bullshit." Like, and you might have one of them out that hits.
I would think about how often people say they're going to the NFL though.
That's probably a lot more.
There's a bigger percent going YouTube than.
But what I'm saying is, there's some people that like, if I met somebody that's just dialed in, there's certain people that just, once again, it's that it factor, that you go see a kid that just balling out, that's on a field that just making everyone look silly out there, and he's like, I'm going to the NFL. I'm like, I got a good chance. Like, yeah, you look like it. Like, or you have the dude out there that can't even get off the ball in time and is like getting just creamed by everyone. He comes over, he's like, I'm going to the NFL. You're like, better start reading or doing something, because you're not. Like,
yeah.
So it's hard sometimes just to face reality. And it's like some of these kids are like, I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm like, oh, how's your YouTube channel? Like, well, I haven't made it yet. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I think you might want to rethink that. But, and it's hard, but you look at it, there's some people that do have it. And what were you going to say?
I think nowadays that with YouTube, you can't really start on YouTube. You don't get enough people that are going to watch your video for that full 10 minutes to get that viewership, I don't think. You kind of have to have that following of people that are really, really interested in what you're doing and what you are trying to create. But having that short form content to build up and what you can lead into YouTube and start showing off more of what you do in your lifestyle and everything like that. But
obviously short form content's a huge tool, no matter what you do.
It's like the biggest thing for social media now. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that YouTube's definitely the highest payer out there. If you're going to go get paid by someone to post content, like YouTube stands at the very top. I look at, there's a way that they can partner really well together, that when you have the short forms that hit, it drives people into the long form to see more of it, just like a trailer to a movie again, like utilizing them together. But I do think that overall storytelling, like if you get someone, when we get a business owner to listen to full podcasts, it's a completely different conversation that we have with those people at that point. If we have somebody that we've never spoke to in our lives show up, like, you're starting from ground zero. Or if you've been able to capture an hour of their attention to go through this, learn more about content, whatever it may be, it's different. And it's, look at the way that people look at The Rock. You don't know The Rock, but if you met The Rock, like, most people would be like,
I met The Rock.
Well, it would just be like you listen to, you would like, you feel like you trust him because you watch him on TV all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you met The Rock here and he's like, hey, we're gonna go do blah blah blah, and it probably sounds like a terrible idea in your head. You're like, yeah, okay, let's go do it. Like, but it's just that thing, like, you put a celebrity there, but it's like, do people know a celebrity on like a level that they sit and have drinks with? No. Did they ever talk to that person in their life? No. Mm-hmm. But it's, they feel like they trust them. Like, if you put Taylor Swift here in front of a group of girls and they're like, hey, we're all going to go jump off a bridge, they'd be like, okay, yeah, let's go. Like, let's do it. That sounds like fun.
She's got a cult following. It's crazy.
But it's the same thing, that they trust her because she earns so much of their attention all the time.
Mhm.
That's what you're going out there and you're fighting for, is that attention. And when people don't think attention is valuable, like, look at what she's done.
Look what you made me do.
Yeah, look at what she made me do. But so of all the social platforms out there, Dave, what's your favorite one?
I don't know. I definitely spend the most time on YouTube. I watch a lot of gaming things on YouTube, like Apex Legends and Fortnite.
It's bad.
But it's just like the entertainment factor.
You know,
for me.
I'm learning new stuff about David over here.
Dude, he's a huge gamer.
Normally when I talk to David, all he's doing at home is like learning and doing like all these classes. And now,
No, you don't see the
But
other
I've
side of
definitely
things.
spent a lot of time scrolling through TikTok or Instagram Reels. But I'll just spend hours scrolling and maybe find like 4 or 5 videos that I actually like. I think it's more just something to do when I'm bored. But anyway, my favorite, probably YouTube
okay.
or Facebook. I feel like there's definitely an older crowd. So if I want to like connect with my family or my friends or like business stuff, definitely through Facebook. But that's like a business thing. It's not like a personal thing. But if I'm like personal entertainment, probably YouTube.
You don't do all your business stuff on LinkedIn?
I do some stuff on LinkedIn, but it's definitely one of those things that I forget about.
Okay.
I don't even know how Facebook works, to be honest. I have no idea how to navigate through that platform. If I'm going to choose a platform, it's probably YouTube. I learn the most off of it. Like, if I have to look up anything, like working on a car, simply just how do I do this and that? It's the most teachable platform. Like, you can learn anything you wanted to on there. But I spend the most time on Instagram, so I mean, it's probably YouTube though. It's probably my favorite
You
platform.
know Facebook has Facebook Marketplace, right?
I
You know you can
I
buy
stay
shit
away
on there,
from
right?
that.
Yeah,
That's
it's where I
because
got
I'll do
my next
impulse
camera.
buys.
Yeah, like I buy a lot of stuff on there.
Marketplace was the best move Facebook had.
Actually, you
I
bought
was
me a
in-
lens off Marketplace at one time.
I was in so many Facebook like chat groups to sell stuff or like buy sell trade groups, and they finally like just put one place for all of it.
Mhm.
Then you didn't need Craigslist or anything. It was pretty legit.
Dude, that's how I ended up with that golf cart over there.
That's how I got
Craigslist?
my Sony.
I'm surprised you
Craigslist,
didn't
yeah.
say Reddit. You seem like a Reddit kind of guy.
I've never bought anything on Reddit.
See,
Well, no, just in general.
can-
I feel like
you
that's your
can buy
favorite,
things on
favorite
Reddit?
platform.
I didn't know
You
that.
Yeah,
could probably
there's
buy
like-
anything on Reddit. I mean, it's pretty weird.
There's
Probably buy
still
some weird
communities
things.
that are buying and selling things.
It's
yeah,
like the new Craigslist.
I feel like anytime I've ever seen anything about Reddit, it was all just like not safe for work things. That,
Yeah,
like,
NFS.
it was like
maybe.
it was trying to like send you somewhere. And I was like, this just seems like the whole thing's sketch.
It's a weird platform for sure.
all those crazy
Yeah.
links.
Yeah, it just seems like anything like if you search like something, I'm not talking about not safe for work
Yeah.
things, but like if you search something and Reddit pops up, it's like the last thing I'm clicking on.
Oh yeah, it's. I don't know if you have if you're looking for an answer to a question. Sometimes it is nice.
Yeah,
to
so there
scroll
are
through
some there are some
But-
like camera forums on there where I will
So-
where I'll actually find some decent stuff. And
So
it's
I'll
the
like
only
search
place.
something on there, and then if I'm on my phone, it's always trying to get me to download the app.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's just a big
Oh,
ploy.
yeah.
And
you
I can't even
totally-
see the.
Don't try to use it without the app. It's useless.
Totally useless. What'd you say?
Oh, and then I said like I'll go on the app and then like I'll start scrolling and it's like you have to download the app before you can view the rest of this and then,
Yeah.
and then I don't want to use Reddit anymore.
Yeah. Poor move by
What's
Reddit.
what's your favorite?
I still think I'm a pretty OG like Facebook. Like I like Instagram. I'm getting better with Instagram. But the funny thing is most people think because we do social media marketing, we do so much stuff that like I like social media, and like unfortunately I actually hate social media. Like I think it's such a terrible thing that's came into our world. I love it as a business tool.
It's
I think
awesome as a business tool.
I literally think it's probably like one of the most underserved things that we have out there when it comes to business owners. But like on a personal level, I work really hard when I'm at home not to be on it. And because I think it affects our heads over time actually with that getting so accustomed to that short attention span.
So that's why I said we needed more long form. I'm
Yeah.
not short form's more useful completely. We need more long form.
A lot of the Instagram though depends on who you follow. Like I'll follow a lot of photographers that I actually look up to, or people that are going to do the stuff that I dream about doing, you know, or Red Bull, for instance. Like you see what they post, they don't post anything about their drinks. It's all about what they can go do.
It's the experience.
Exactly.
So I look once again, great business tool. You following all that, how does that elevate you differently in 12 months from now? scrolling on that, looking at it all the time. 12 months from now, you look back. Okay, pull your screen time from a week. It'll make people sick. So pull your screen time from a week. Multiply that over 52 weeks. What could you have done with that time? Because my biggest pet peeve is you talk with people all the time like, well, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. Okay, let me see your screen time for the week. I call horse shit. You do have plenty of time to do it, actually. You just prioritize something different. And
There's multitasking. I mean, hey,
And
you can
I'm
walk
not
on a
saying that,
treadmill
like,
on your phone.
I'm not saying I don't scroll, because I do. Because you can ask a lot of people.
No,
in here.
he does.
I send a lot of TikTok videos to people. But 95% of the time, they're work related. Like, I will sit there and I search like marketing on TikTok, and then I watch videos on like trends or things that are happening before Facebook comes out and talks about them, or Meta. And before Google's doing something that they're like, hey, we're seeing this trend starting to happen. And then I'm like sending them to everyone around the office. So it's like, I do scroll, but I try to make it as like, use it as a learning tool and not so much as because I'm very big on like looking at that time that's spent, that I think a lot of people get lost in. Once again, I like cool content, but I don't know how sitting there looking at that content for hours on hours is going to change my tomorrow, my 6 months from now.
Mm.
And that could just be me. Like,
I agree with that.
I could just have a jacked up lens on the way I look at things.
Jack has a jacked up lens.
Yeah.
Hey,
He
I
does.
do have a broken lens. You were right.
But what would you say your least favorite platform is?
Man, probably Twitter or X.
Yeah.
It's a scary place. Like, I'll just be scrolling and there's just, I see people getting, murdered, and then it's like straight up a dude and a chick doing things, and then it's like something cute, and then it's like that whole process over and over again. Because Twitter is a place, or X is a place where like there's no filters.
It's a wild, wild west.
It is. It literally
He did
is.
take it from like 8,500 employees and fire 7,500 of them like right out the gate.
Elon
And it still
Musk.
operates.
They still got to have too many, right?
You think so? Like, I don't know what they all do.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how you have a company that has 8,500 people in it, and you fire 7,500 of it, and no one in the
Nothing bad.
everyone that uses it has no idea. Like, what did those people?
The end product is the same or better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think they all did?
I don't know. Maybe they had like masseuses and stuff. So it was like employees, or they just had the money to hire people. And then Elon Musk came in. He's like,
It probably, at that scale, it's got to be difficult to track actual productivity.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of like, I don't know how much they need to work.
And
I don't know why it's not
everyone
getting done.
like everyone looks at him like he's a crazy guy. He comes off the street. He goes, I'm gonna fire 7,500 people. I'm gonna like send them memes in their emails and troll them. And everyone's like, oh, terrible idea. Like, and he does it, and the end product's still exactly the same.
Well, how big is, does anybody know how big SpaceX is in terms of employees? Hey, Dre, how big is SpaceX?
Why are you cheesing at Logan over there?
it's his birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Logan.
What up?
We just need a Logan cam. That's all we need.
Yeah, we get a cam on Logan. Dude, Dre, do you know how to use your phone?
There's this dude on TikTok, and he's like the Asian
1,300,000 plus.
1,300. What?
What?
1,300,000?
1.3
And
million.
he's HR.
You're great with numbers.
100,000 and then a plus sign. It's
He's finance.
1,300,000?
1,300?
13,000 plus.
13,000
Okay.
or 1,300?
You said 1,300,000.
Guess what? It's after hours. It's
It's after.
13,000.
Oh, okay.
As of September 2023,
Yeah.
13,000 employees work at
Kind of
us.
old. This guy.
So I apologize for the derailment there, but all I was really getting at is they are sending things to space.
X is not.
They're just running a website.
Ooh.
25,000?
Way more than
Probably
that.
like 70,000.
They
Somewhere
just
up
built
there.
that new plant that's like huge.
It's like 250 at
How many?
least.
Do you know? Can I get it?
No, we're just climbing. We're all getting it wrong. We're just gonna climb.
I realized how
many
small
planes
the
they
number
have.
was.
Yeah, you know it's worldwide, right?
I don't know.
Oh, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
A million?
180,000.
I was,
Ooh, that was close.
That's close.
Oh, I was in the right.
Yeah.
100%.
Vicinity.
enough.
It's a lot of people. It's a
I,
whole
didn't,
army.
I didn't say 1,300,000 or whatever Dre said.
Either way, though, a lot of businesses are really inefficient, it turns out.
For sure. And it's actually crazy how inefficient so many like tech style companies, because I think a lot of people get up to the top that actually have no idea how it all works, and they just think that they need a ton of people.
Yeah.
And they're just there.
How do we fix a problem? Hire
Just
somebody.
need
I
the
don't
right
know.
people to fix it.
What if we put more people in there? You think they can
Somebody's gonna have the right
yeah,
idea.
somebody's got to do
I
it.
mean, once you get to a certain point,
You just walk onto
Maybe
the street.
just-
Hey,
maybe that's the answer.
you in the office now. Let's go. That's all you gotta do.
Which I'm kind of like curious to how like Twitter made that much money.
Maybe they
Is it
sold
ads?
information.
I mean,
You think ad
Yeah.
revenue was that high?
when you
mean,
have
it's
that many
probably
people on
pretty
a
high.
platform, I mean, it's everybody's gonna be seeing it. It's in the main feed.
How much do you spend on Facebook ads?
Uh,
They still have sponsor
Logan was
ads.
showing me a picture that we had spent $475,000 on there. So, I mean, we've spent a little bit. So it's, and we're probably not even really
think about
carving
what
out anything.
Coca-Cola pays.
Yeah, they have a $5 billion yearly budget.
That's their weekly spend.
That's probably their fucking daily spend. Do what?
Built.
Oh yeah, all I see is Bill ads.
Built Ford tough.
No,
I
David-
see a lot of
David-
those too, though.
David sees different ads than us. Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah.
That was all blurry.
All right.
We don't like to let him drive. These aren't even his. He
So
doesn't have any.
content though.
Yeah, we derail.
Content though.
Yeah. Apologize for the 5-minute derailment there.
I think it was a little more
Crowd
than
got-
5 minutes at that point.
That was about 5 minutes. Jack, least favorite platform.
I mean, you'd have to think of the ones I don't use. I mean,
Like
honestly,
of the regular ones.
the regulars. I hate TikTok because of what it's made content turn into. Because I'd like to go back to like YouTube, like I was saying earlier. I like the stories. I don't like to see people dancing or lip singing. You know,
But
It's-
TikTok, you do 10-minute videos now.
do I see those? No, like they
you
don't.
just
They
get
don't
right
really
past
show
them.
up.
What?
You're probably gonna skip past those anyway.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what did this crazy person do? Upload a 10-minute video. I'm not here for that.
After you probably that's at like the 60-second mark. You're like, oh, it's still going, and then you look and you're like, oh.
They're like, oh, it didn't restart yet. Oh, we're going on to the next one.
Yeah.
I am not actively on TikTok.
I've
Really?
barely been using it.
Yeah,
Can you
not a
open my
TikTok guy.
TikToks that I sent?
It's super inconvenient.
Oh.
Yeah,
You can't open them?
I can open them, but it like takes me through browsers and then opens stuff. And
I'm going to say my least favorite out of all of them is, I don't even know if I call it a social platform, but there are a lot of people who use it, is Snapchat.
oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely there's a new thing on Snapchat where it's pretty much like TikTok. But I was reading this thing and it was like when they first came out, they wanted to compete with TikTok. So they allotted like $1 million daily budget and it was like a ranking system. So let's say your video is like the most watched video on Snapchat. You'd get like, depending on how many viewers you got, you could get up to $1 million in a day. And I don't know if they still do that, but whenever they first started, it was crazy because like these TikTokers were reposting their content on Snapchat and just getting paid a lot of money to do that.
That's what one of my buddies did actually. He, I don't see a video of his on Snapchat that doesn't have over or under 500,000 views right now. And I mean, he's 20, I think, and he just moved himself to Canada. Like he's doing really well for himself. He just
I'm doing great. I'm going to Canada.
Well, I mean, he just does car content. That's all he's based off of.
Yeah,
That's the only
Snapchat.
thing.
Snapchat.
I mean,
also-
I think that might be the first time I've heard that. You know what? Dude's doing really good. He got up and went to Canada.
It sounds like a chill place to be.
very
Politically,
Where
they have
he's
some
at
trouble,
is
but-
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
where it's at though.
Yeah.
Snapchat also has like a section, and they're almost like creator stories. And there is these two kids I was watching, like 14 and 15, and they were doing those satisfying videos where they like cut soap or something,
Oh, I
and then they
hate
were making
ASMR.
like $70K a month off of just ad spend. So companies would just pay them to put ads in their Snapchat in between like the videos that they make, and it was all hands free, like almost completely automated, and they still do that.
Might be missing the mark, boys.
Well, yeah, maybe.
But
There's a lot of social media money going around.
Snapchat-
I
out
feel
there.
like Snapchat was built on being sketch.
Snapchat has some
Oh,
yeah.
weird.
Why do you need
Definitely.
disappearing photos?
Exactly. I'm like,
Come
you build
on.
an app that just everything disappears. I'm like, super sketch. I was like,
Definitely think that's why it started,
It has
no,
to be.
100%.
and then it developed into something more.
And then we were like, oh, I guess we could also just talk on here.
I feel like when I
think
find
I use
people, I feel
Snapchat
like
more than
when I
messages.
find people that use Snapchat a lot, I just automatically kind of put up a wall that's a little taller than the
It's
rest.
like
I'm
if Snapchat is your like most used default, that's like if you're like trying to like talk to someone and then they tell you like they give you your Snapchat instead of their phone number.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a turn off.
Dude, I hate that.
complete red flag run the other way.
I think the way to do it is you give them your Instagram, and then if you see that they message you, you're like, oh, they were looking, so then you hit them up, and then boom, you're good.
Or we could just go back. Old
Jack's
days where,
dating
like,
advice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just go back.
Don't take it
Start
from
a-
me.
The more
Let's
you
I'm
start-
probably the only single one in here.
Let's
so.
start a series.
Yeah. Or you could just like give people your phone number and like you get on a phone call or you text.
Mine?
What?
There isn't one.
Are you
Simply
alone?
just isn't one.
Are you alone? Because you got my interest.
Oh, you should tell your dad that one.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
No, I don't. I don't know how to talk to girls. That's that.
Oh.
We don't have a pickup line.
Okay.
You'll find one.
Yeah. Maybe you
We'll
can find
find
one on
one.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
A pickup line or a girl?
Oh, both.
Either, honestly. I mean, you can just start adding them randomly.
Pickup
That's
line?
kind of how it
I do.
works.
I get a lot of quick ads.
Yeah,
and
it's
Is
weird.
it connected phone numbers?
Nope,
Yeah,
it's
so it
just
is-
mutual friends, phone numbers. It's
So, like,
a mix of things.
If you add someone as a contact in your phone number, like a new contact, it'll send you a notification and say like this dude's or this chick's on Snapchat, and then it'll have like recommended friends or like mutual friends,
And then
they just
same area
automatically
as
show
well.
up.
Interesting.
What are we
like
talking about right now?
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like if you're in
Yeah,
like
I
the same
don't know what you're
area,
talking about, so.
then they'll show up in your feed. So there's also like the worldwide post. So you can post on your story and it shows around the world, and it's like a hotspot on the Snap Maps. You can press on it and it's gonna have their wherever they are, like location wise, and their name and their story.
Yeah.
The other odd thing about Snapchat is definitely the map.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so,
don't
like-
like being tracked like that.
Also, super sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally think that they literally sat in a room. There's like, I don't know how many of them, like probably 10. And they're like, hey, like, what are some of the sketchiest things that we can do? And like, what if we tracked everyone and we put on
And
a
we'll
big
tell
map?
people if you screenshot. So
Yeah.
we have the
Yeah.
honesty rule.
And,
Now you can-
And now we're gonna make it to where all this shit disappears. And then if somebody tries to screenshot, we tell them.
Yeah.
Like,
Call them out.
just look at all the sketch and shit. You know, they're sitting in front of a whiteboard putting them like, oh my god, we got something.
None of the other platforms would do any of that.
This is all against everything everyone else does.
I mean, Snapchat's kind of what started stories, though. Stories are a totally different thing, and
Yeah.
it gives people a reason to come back daily, which is interesting.
Snapchat also has a monthly subscription now.
Yeah.
I think it's 10 or
Dude,
15
David
a month.
knows
three- it's
everything
like
about
$3.
Snapchat,
Oh,
doesn't he?
yeah,
It's
so
like
it's not super
$3.
expensive, but they have an AI chatbot, pretty much like ChatGPT. You can type in stuff. and
Do you
it'll
just like talk
respond
to
back.
it?
You can. It's
You
literally
can
just
if you're
ChatGPT.
lonely, I guess. But
Hey, you know what none of the other platforms are doing? Giving people imaginary friends. Let's give them
Yeah.
imaginary friends.
You can
Those are
customize
probably
it
the
and
best
everything.
ones.
Actually, you can make it into whatever you want. It's weird.
it
So
is
in Jack's
really
like,
weird.
I've been hanging out with Sarah. Right? Who's Sarah?
Sarah's the
I
best.
think I put a dinosaur costume on mine. I think
Yeah.
that's what
Sarah
it
wears
is.
a dinosaur costume.
No, it's just my
Oh.
imaginary friend. It's
I'm
just
gonna
a
go hang out with
dinosaur.
Sarah. He's just snapping. Because you can send photos
Oh.
to the AI.
Where do you think those
Does it
guys
send
go?
photos back?
No, it replies with like,
mine just
"Hey, looking
replies
good
with text.
today." It's weird.
It's never mean to you.
It's it's not.
It,
You can play Simon Says with it too and make it say things. It's not fun.
Dude, I
won't
feel
say
like we
bad
live in a
things, though,
pretty
I
weak
tried.
world where people have imaginary online friends that to get
So if
positive
you-
reinforcement.
so what is interesting about this, though, because I like thinking about this sometimes, with the advancement of VR and stuff, at some point you're already interacting with people virtually. Presumably, it's somebody you know, like in the real life world. But that's just because the technology is in its infancy. Like, if we fast forward 15 years and VR is totally normal, or AR probably, and you're in this social media-esque world interacting with people, like eventually you're going to interact with a bot. And that bot is going to give you some type of feedback that triggers dopamine or whatever. And just like you would in a normal conversation, it's not any different if it's a robot.
No,
That's going to get
definitely
really,
is.
but like from your perspective, like if it behaves the same as a human and you're not in person, eventually people are just going to start being friends with AI stuff.
Dude, catfishing on a whole nother level.
Something
It's
tells me
AI.
that
If I had a new girlfriend, it actually turned out it was AI.
Something
So
tells
it's
me
kinda-
that Ricky thinks about this a lot. This is why he stays up at night.
I mean, I
He thinks
definitely think
about
it's going to be a
this.
problem. For sure.
It's about to turn into Ready Player One. That's where we're going.
So it's
Dude.
kind of a thing already with video games. There's this one video game. I don't remember the name of it, but they modded it to where the NPCs in the game, they modded it with ChatGPT. So you can actually go up to them and talk to them, and it'll run through the processes, and it'll respond with something like exactly what you asked it.
You're going to be able to have the most fascinating conversations because you have the AI's complete attention, essentially. And it's
we
gonna
said attention was so valuable earlier.
and it knows how to respond to you because it's a super
Yeah.
intelligence.
So normally you'd go up to an NPC and click on it, and it would just say the same thing over and over and over again. But it's different this time because it's like actually tailored to what you said.
Interesting.
It's really interesting.
I feel like we got way over Dane's head really fast.
I think it's gonna get weird out there, man.
I will say what I think is, which I think the next week or two I'm just gonna go buy them.
You've been talking about it for a while.
I think I've been wasting too much brain power on talking about it. I just need to go do it. But the new Apple,
Apple Vision, Pro.
yeah, the Vision Pros, I think are changing the game of AR and VR like overnight.
We're gonna walk into
Yeah.
the office and see Dane like air punching something with his Vision Pros on.
But most of the time, like that's what I look different as the AR and VR side. Is so many people look at it from a game aspect that I look at it from a work aspect. That I was looking at this new like big curve monitor to get rid of my desktop and just run that with my laptop and join the rest of the office in that world. But I was also looking at the new Vision Pros, and you can have them connected to your laptop, and I can have everything literally set up there from editing photos over here to my music down here. And then also what I like about those over like the Oculus that we gotten is those I feel like were built out very much game wise.
Yeah.
No, that's
not-
what they were for.
They're
game
not
oriented.
built out for
They're not used as a tool.
yeah. So it's like you can use it as a tool work wise, but also like I was looking at the movie side that you can sit there and put yourself in sitting at the Grand Canyon with a 40-foot screen in front of you and watch
So
a movie.
you can do that on the Quest.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to look better on the Vision
Yeah,
Pro.
one of
Yeah.
the cool things that they've been able to actually do is like whenever it's in pass-through mode, it doesn't you don't even notice that they're on you. With the Oculus, there's still a pretty noticeable difference.
Yeah.
One of the really cool things that I've seen people do with the Meta Quest 2 is like car mechanics. So they'll be working on a car and then they can have YouTube up or a tab open, like how to do something or what part do I need while they're working on it. So it just makes that process go by so much faster.
Going back to YouTube being the teaching process.
If
of
you were
things.
wondering about a lot of the TikToks I send Ricky a lot on the Vision Pros, but they've started putting like applications in them for construction now. That so like if you go measure a pile of rock,
Yeah.
like most of the time it's a pain. Now you can literally just click like what kind of rock it is and then just walk around it and look at it.
Yeah.
And it literally takes all the measurements.
All the
It'll tell you
gyro
exactly
data.
how many tons of rock you have sitting there.
Pretty accurately.
It makes cleaning your house fun. Have you seen the one where they're trying to vacuum the floor and it's like they're cleaning up a certain amount like of surface? It goes from blue
It's
to
like a
clear.
satisfying.
Oh, it literally
Yeah.
shows.
It literally shows where you've hit, so like you won't miss a spot.
Interesting.
I get all the construction videos. Jack gets the house cleaning videos.
Hey, when's the last time you cleaned the apartment?
Honestly, I did the dishes the other day.
Ironically,
Actually, I
I
did
feel like
them
your
last
house
night.
is
You
probably
did them last
cleaner.
night, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not going to say that's on me. So,
Yeah.
I am clean. I'm like, I've always been very OCD on things being clean.
You just recently started cleaning the house too, though. We're gonna
Hey,
get into this.
hey,
Keep
you guys
your
are-
roommate fights to your own
yeah,
time.
yeah. We have people listening here if they've made it this far. But also on those, they've put applications in them where you can measure. They can actually connect to table saws now. They've built table saws out with the application, so you can just look at it and measures everything. And you can, as you're looking at it, it'll show you where the lines are, of how long that's at, to where you don't even have to have a tape measure anymore.
So you can measure anything?
Yeah,
Cool.
The more you know.
yeah. The
I'm
more you
asking
know-
for a friend.
Yeah, but I think that we're going to see. I mean, Apple's really changed the space. I think multiple times.
That's what they do, man. The
But-
iPhone, the iPod.
Mark my words. Right now, I think that the Vision Pros are going to be one of Apple's biggest push forward technology pieces that they've released in the last 15 years.
I don't know
Yeah.
how it went.
I
Like
don't know
this,
when the first iPhone came out.
the one that comes out. I mean, it was obviously a big deal, but the first Vision Pro, like obviously it's incredible, but in like 5 years, it's gonna look like ancient.
What I'm saying though is
Like,
like
it's
the
the-
Vision
it's a
Pro.
big
I
step.
think they're gonna keep building on that.
Yeah.
But it's like the same thing of like how far the iPhones came from Gen 1 to what we're on 15s now. That I look at the Vision Pros doing the same thing. That yeah, when they were doing computers and everything, are their computers better than PCs? Yes. Like,
Better than Macs.
But
Better than Macs.
Macs.
I thought you said are there computers that are better than Macs?
No, I said like Apple's like computers are better than
So
PCs.
his opinion was that Mac is better than PC.
There's yeah, I don't know about that.
I would say it's more.
I think
it's
it's more
more
user
work
friendly.
It's
friendly.
user friendly.
It makes more sense in a work
And
environment.
it works when
probably.
you get it out of the box. A PC, you
You-
have to tinker with a little bit
Yeah.
Yeah.
and adjust your settings.
Yeah, and like when I found Ricky, like I mean, he had something that he spent a lot of money on.
I did. I
It
did.
didn't efficiently work,
No,
and I mean, I think that may be one of my biggest things I've ever helped Ricky out with.
it was a big one. Yeah.
That was like, hey, you know, if you jump on a Mac, you won't have all those. That render time's gonna be way better, and you can actually watch your video like when it's on there. Like it's a lot different.
But can you game on a Mac?
See, I don't buy them for gaming,
I do. Well, not a Mac, but a PC.
but regardless, I think that when they did that, like PC was still out there. They both accomplished the same thing. I think that the Oculus and everything that they've done from the Meta side with the Quest and all those, I think Vision Pro came out and just. Now, granted, they're also what, like 5 times the cost.
Yeah, I think you can get an Oculus for like $300-$400 right now.
I haven't used the newest Oculus either.
I had the last generation. It was a blast. I mean, I played it quite often, but I mean, the new one I haven't seen anybody use them because Apple Vision Pro came out at the same time, so or around the same time.
One thing I do really like about the Apple ecosystem that you just don't get with like a PC ecosystem is that all of their devices, you know, are interchangeable. They all work together. Like I'll plug in my AirPods and they'll work on my computer, and then it'll switch to my phone automatically. Like you don't get that with a PC.
I get annoyed with that sometimes. Like it'll switch. Like if I turn on my phone to read a message, it'll switch to that, and then all of a sudden you hear my video playing across the entire office, and I'm just like, oh, I guess I'll just leave that muted the entire time. So I don't know. It is nice to be able to switch
Seems
back
like
and
a big
forth.
struggle for you there, Jack.
Man, it is.
Everything's synced up.
I would say
This is
Mac.
my pet peeves, man.
I would say Mac is worth it just from iMessage alone.
Oh, and AirDrop. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
big game
AirDrop's
changer.
probably the most useful thing. I
think
can use on
AirDrop was
that.
the number one reason that I went with all Mac when we started.
Mhm.
Was when we worked in the basement. Our line of communication was we'd all be sitting there and AirDrops would just pop up for review.
Bing,
So I'd be
bing,
like sitting in my computer, like pop up, I accept, and be like, "Yeah, it looks good, Logan." And then like back to whatever that pop up, Dalton's like, "Yeah, it looks good." But like that's literally how our everything worked was through AirDrop.
Ooh,
Storms are coming.
it is
Got Flash
brewing.
out there.
Yeah.
But so we went over favorite platforms. We went over least favorite platforms. Let's touch a little bit on equipment side.
Okay.
So-
Oh, here we go.
I know David started off saying he was a big like Nikon guy.
So
And,
I don't know. It changes by the day, honestly. So I started out in Nikon, and that was just all I knew because that was my first camera. And they do make some really good photo cameras. The video side, not so much. But they did just acquire Red, so I'm hoping that levels up their game a little bit, or they make something more budget friendly on the cinema side. That'd be really cool. And then I got my first Sony, and I really love Sony, but now I kind of want to switch to Canon because most people are Canon, and I like their color science better.
who is most people?
Ricky and Jack. And Peter McKinnon.
Peter McKinnon's a big ambassador for
Big
Canon.
Canon guy.
Huge
Big,
Canon guy.
huge Canon guy. I don't know. I just like
Do
their
you know-
color science.
Do you know Jaime?
Yeah.
Jaime's on Sony. in case
So are you.
you're- baller.
Baller. But then I shoot on the Epic 6 and I'm like, man, this is nice.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you could take an amateur out there and put them on one of them, and I mean, just magic happens.
But one thing I really do like about my Sonys and Sony in general is whenever it comes to low light, they're just better. So like if I'm out shooting a wedding or something at nighttime, I don't have to worry about if I were to get a Canon or a Nikon about grainy footage. That's super nice. I don't know. Also, like whenever you get past the consumer cameras, Sony does make a lot more higher end cameras. Like the Burano is 25 grand. Canon does make like the C70, but I don't even think that comes close to the Burano right now with all of its new technology. And I don't know if Canon does make cinema cameras, like higher end stuff, but I know Sony does. So if you're starting on Sony and you eventually want to get up to that point, it's a good ecosystem to invest in. But then you also have Canon, which pairs really nice with Red. So it's kind of just dealer's choice with that. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it'd be Sony.
Okay, I'm gonna finish off this question, and we'll circle back. I'm gonna remember my question here. 'Cause I want to let everyone get this. and
There's a
I'll
lot of information.
Yeah. I'll just say okay to that. And then,
Okay.
But we're going to go on to Jack with Jack's input on.
I mean, he did hit on a lot of key points there with the color science behind Canon. I would go with Canon personally. I mean, that's what I started with. That's what I've stuck with. Sony, I do like their low light. That is probably I do like to shoot at night a lot, and whenever I shoot at night, I need to have.
So you
something
telling me I
that's
could
lit
have
up.
bought a new Sony camera yesterday? Or 2 days
I wouldn't
ago?
have any idea how to use it. I mean, I
I mean,
could
you
figure
didn't have
it
any
out.
idea how to use the camera.
It took
that
me
you got.
15 minutes to set my new camera up. I mean, I had this guy, he uses it, so he was just like, oh, yeah, that's how you do it. And I was like, all right. I mean, the settings aren't hard to go through, but I mean, I'm still going to stick with Canon no matter what. I mean, you can always set up lights, so.
I would add from like a hybrid perspective, if you're doing photo and video, Canon, I just feel like it's more user friendly, especially in their settings menus. Way easier.
What about
to
on the
navigate.
new Sony A7 R5?
I have not had the pleasure of using that yet. Maybe we should.
I know I've looked at
Right.
one. I have
We're just
some for
kicking.
you.
We're just beating
yeah.
a dead rock here because this guy is only going to defend Sony. That's his heart and soul is Sony. So
I've
Which
spent
is
a lot of-
ironic because ask him what his first camera was.
no way.
My first camera, Nikon D30. Oh, your first
This
camera?
guy.
Camera.
Were you Canon?
No,
He wishes.
Nikon,
I was.
Panasonic.
Bought an Nikon.
Ooh,
What was it?
I couldn't tell you which one.
A D something probably.
I started with a crop sensor.
Is
lens.
there a D5100?
I don't know. I started with a 35
It was a combo
or
kit.
5300.
He was like, dude,
From
people are
Best
spending
Buy?
this much money. And
Yeah.
then,
So what I was pretty pumped about when I went there, and the reason I bought it, because when we started this, I had my camera knowledge was if there's like 100 points in it, I'm thinking about a 1 or 2. And when I looked at, I went in there and I was like, dude, this one seems like a way better deal because it comes with 2 lenses.
You're
I
like,
was like,
whoa, 2 lenses is
yeah.
cheaper.
I'm like,
and-
look at these ones. I'm like, who the fuck
Why would
would
this?
spend $5,000 on a camera body with no lenses? I'm
Can't
like,
even take a picture with
I'm like,
it.
idiots. And I'm like looking at lenses and stuff in there. I'm like, this makes no sense. And it was actually pretty fun because I just kept upgrading bodies like one after another with this
Never
one
took the
like shitty
glass.
lens.
Yeah, you're like, why does it look the same?
I feel like the glass is
When-
the most important part.
I know when
Is-
Ricky started, I actually didn't even know how to use the camera outside of auto, and or none of MMG actually did. So we were all just shooting on these A6400s
And
on
complete
in
auto.
auto. And then I bought a A7 III. It just was like the kit one that came with the zoom lens, and I'm like asking Ricky, I'm like, dude, how do some of these people get these like crazy like cool shots? And he's like, you got to buy like a different lens. It's like what kind of lens would you buy for that? And he like sends me one. I'm like, dude, that's like $2,000. I'm like, I'm not spending $2,000 on lens.
It's more than the camera.
You
body.
can't even take a photo with that lens.
Yeah. And now it's like every time I see a new lens, I'm like, 2,500, bet, grab it.
That's
Let's-
cheap.
Let's do it.
the new Canon lens that just came out.
Ooh, yeah.
The
That is one
24-105, the f2.8.
First time anybody's done that.
That is
Yeah.
one thing Sony's lacking on is their lens choices.
What are you talking about?
Canon is cooking Sony on the lens choices. That is.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they don't have a 24 to
you guys are
105
doing? He's
2.8.
defending it.
Does Sony have a fisheye like VR lens?
Yeah, do they?
I don't know. I did see an ad from Canon though on it.
Oh yeah, interesting.
What was that new lens I just bought for that one?
The 28 to 70.
You brought
The 28 to
2.8.
72.8. Who came out with that?
Yeah, it's
24
not-
to
it's not-
70.
Yeah,
24 to
there's
70.
not
24.
28 on a single lens that we had.
I
So
think
the
that was Sony. It's a
Canon
Sony
has a
lens.
28 to 70.
What a weird number.
That's what I
So
have.
it is
I have
not
one
the
of those
28
as
to
well.
70. That's the f2, like one of the best lenses,
Oh.
the best zoom lens that anybody's made.
Okay, yeah. No, I definitely have that.
Oh, that's
Well,
crazy
the best,
statement.
F2.
Best lens anyone's ever made.
No, best zoom lens.
24 one. Wait, which one?
28 to 70.
Oh, the 2870.
F2.
Oh, the f2. Okay. Yeah.
There's something in front of it, Dre. Dude, it's okay if it rains a little bit.
Jaime's camera is.
Jaime, you
there.
bought
Oh
it.
wow, yeah. Let's.
It's a good
let's
thing
leave a
those
very
sensors work.
Oh yeah, Jaime,
Let's
that
leave
could
a
have came
very
down on your
expensive
camera.
camera.
Just close it like
Jaime.
halfway. All right, that's fine. Ooh, that's fine. Dude, I said that's fine like a while ago. so
I
you
think
can
the
see it.
mics definitely picked that
Cut
up.
that out.
Yeah.
That was
Cut
kinda
out,
scary.
Cade. Yeah. Dre
Caden's
just doesn't
on it.
listen. I would like to kind of see the storm out the.
I honestly did like.
Dude, I watched the lightning last
I
night.
thought
It
it was
was
gonna be kinda
wonderful.
cool.
Dude, we were watching it just go away from our building. It was nice.
But Dre's like, Dre's just super scary.
I do appreciate where Dre's coming from with like if the rain's going to be flying in here at an angle, at least just cover the cameras. But
It would slow us down a little bit.
CYA.
All right. So
what was your question though? We wanted to
I
wrap
do-
that up so you didn't forget.
I do have that. What do you think the difference is So I think we've tiered up a lot in camera equipment to put out a level now that I see some of our stuff that comes out that you can take the person that has a $25,000 camera or the person that has an $80,000 camera. What percentage difference do you think that you're playing on at that? Because we look at now like the settings and the way the settings that a $25,000 camera has over ours. Like most of these cameras sitting in here are approved to go film a Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
like,
point of diminishing returns.
yeah. So
very real.
What do you
with
think that
cameras.
you're getting on that difference if you're going to shoot on a FX6 to the $25,000? I don't even know what you called it earlier.
The Bravo.
Red.
Bravo.
Oh, Burano.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the Burano is different because so like talking about cinema cameras, the thing that makes it a cinema camera is it has all the features that a cinema camera would have. So it'd have that built-in neutral density filter, and it would have
The FX6 has that.
well, yeah, but it's not as advanced as the Burano because it's brand new. But it also has like the XLR inputs and the SDI inputs.
The FX6 has that.
And the FX6
So-
is a weird one to use though, because that is up there.
There's
But the FX6 also, like, you're talking, when we bought that, it's what, $7,000?
I have no idea.
it's probably around.
Like,
Something like
around
that.
But
But I think it's
we'll take $7,000 to $25,000. Like, what am I getting for the additional?
I don't know the like specifics on it.
Like, is
but
it $18,000 worth of incentives?
yeah, I think part of it is kind of the name that you're paying for,
That's
and a little bit color science and like the image quality.
something to also consider with vehicles, unless you're just factoring in like how well they keep their value, the difference between an XL and a limited.
It's a big difference.
Is
But-
that worth like
But I'm
40
saying if
grand?
like you have a XLT or let's
It's
just
just-
say
it's
let's
just
just say
features,
it's
though.
an XL. Let's just say
Yeah.
that's what they call it, and a limited, and they both have leather. They both have massaging seats. They both have the same features.
so that's
One of them may just have a little shinier paint.
so you are gonna miss some of the features. But yeah, it's like it's a very strange thing where
I mean, he didn't tell me one thing that FX6 didn't have.
like come from a total feature standpoint.
Well, I mean that's just
He
like
said XLR ports.
I just said that's what makes it a cinema camera is having the features. There's
so I'm
definitely
thinking
like
between a $7,000 and a $25,000.
there's
What
def-
additional are you gonna get?
I definitely feel like there's differences. I just don't know what they would be without looking at the camera. I feel like some of it might be dynamic range. You're gonna get a higher dynamic range or a higher bit rate internally. So also like frame rate wise, this one might shoot, more than 120 frames a second. Like the new Red that just came out, it's $50,000. That one shoots 8K 60. So that's gonna future proof you for a long time.
That only
Um,
8K 60.
I was gonna say the R5C shoots 8K60 as well, and that thing's $3,500.
Boom! Boom!
But also another thing with that is like the cameras you're talking about; those work much better when you operate with a crew, because you can get a lot more. You can make a lot more happen when you have those cameras and you have a team behind it. You can have the one guy carrying the camera, but then you have 14 other people operating certain other things that are part of it.
Do you want Dre to start operating like as your team?
I would not want him there. No.
Drake
He
can
can
hold
be
a
your
boom
light
mic.
guy.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, what he's doing over here in the corner is something that would just signify I don't want him around.
and make that face at you.
Let's see if he gets paid.
Oh, one check was missing. I don't know.
What happened to it?
Check your mailbox.
Hey, I said it after hours,
I have to
okay?
find the mailbox key, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I don't think there's a big enough difference, and unless you're like actually making a movie, I don't think it's worth it. But if
So
you look
Ricky and I have
at,
had this conversation a lot because I like cool, expensive things.
yeah,
And Ricky's like, do you really think that's going to change? So I bought an FX6 when we definitely probably didn't need to. But I thought, I'm like, it's big, it's fancy. Actually, the coolest thing, the number one reason I wanted an FX6 was the variable ND filter internally.
I think I've seen you use it once.
When you click the button and then all of a sudden it just like
Yeah,
hits
goes-
it.
cool.
Literally, it's like, I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing.
What do you think about
so
the
you
new?
can put on any lens and it'll work essentially.
What do you guys think about the new DJI? It's a camera that's built into
The
a
4D.
gimbal.
I was gonna bring that up.
It's super cool.
Are people using it though?
I
seen-
haven't seen it in person, but I see a lot of videos on it.
I've
I
seen
mean,
at least 5 of them for sale on Marketplace.
Because I saw
Yeah.
like all these companies send it out to like their affiliates or ambassadors, and everybody posts on the same day, and it's like all the roar on YouTube, Instagram, everything like
yeah,
that.
it was hyped up for about a month, and then I didn't hear anything else about
You don't
it.
see
Because you
any
briefly thought about that.
I was thinking about that over the FX6.
I think it had a lot of problems. Like
Just like
internally,
practicality wise, I don't know how practical it was.
It looked
Like the
awesome.
selling
it looks like
point-
a chicken. Like it bobs like a chicken. when
The
you're
selling
holding
point
it.
is that you can hold it and run with it and do whatever you want. But like weight wise, that's gonna get really heavy really fast.
So I will say the FX6, I think that the learning curve for me to use it, I will say everything I stepped up to, and the reason that I like the FX3 so much was the FX3 still like user wise. I mean, the color profile straight out camera is something that you can edit. You can go and like a lot of what we're doing is run and gun style work. So on that short form run and gun stuff, I'm not shooting things in log. I'm not sitting there color grading everything. And you're gonna have like true content creators out there. They're gonna be like, "Oh my god, he doesn't shoot everything in log." They're not a content creator. Well, there's a lot of people out there shoot a lot of things in log that don't make any money either. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, congrats. But
It's like usually just
it's-
about what we do. For what we do, it works.
Unless somebody buys their $20 Lightroom preset.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, I could sit there and I've literally had people ask me about like, "Oh, what are the color and LUTs and everything you use on those?" I'm like, "Oh, that's actually straight out camera." So
Said normal,
But-
basic.
But the difference between the FX3 to the FX6 was a huge learning curve that I don't see the value in me
It's like
taking.
you went
that
from
learning
small to big back to smaller.
curve. Yeah, I don't see the value of me taking that learning curve right now. That I don't think the value of me knowing that's probably the biggest win.
Completely
Definitely.
agree. Yeah.
Now, at least you guys know how to use it. So
A little bit. I'm learning. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a pretty good idea. I've been shooting a lot of stuff on it. So definitely, though, not something you want to run and gun. But if it's like a sit down interview style, it definitely shines in those circumstances. Whenever you can actually control all the faucets and the factors.
yeah, but towards the end of the podcast, we always kind of ask final thoughts. I can't go back to you guys talking to your 21-year-old self. So if Jack, if you want to go talk to your future self, you could. But it's any
man.
final thoughts on content, social platforms, anything that's going on in today's space, anything like that?
I would just say, as a content creator, you never want to, settle down with what you currently have because things are changing so fast. And if you're not staying up with that, you're going to get left behind. So definitely paying attention to how the world is changing and what content is changing towards would be, a big helpful thing to do. So just staying up to date.
I like it.
If given the opportunity, take it, because you're not only going to get that back if you ever do. Opportunities are going to take you a lot further than just not doing anything at all.
Yeah,
So,
I like it.
I like it a lot.
One thing to add on to that is just always make as many connections as you can. A lot of people are shy or introverts. They don't want to go make connections. But a lot of times, if you get a job, it's through someone that you met. You may even meet them one time, and then 10 years later, they have your business card. And they're like, "Oh, I remember that guy. Let's see if he wants the job." So it's all about, who you know, and it's all about who you know more than what you know. It's going to take you farther in this industry.
Yeah, networking's a huge piece of the puzzle. Ricky, any final thoughts?
I would say even if you're not like a full-time content creator, just take more photos, whether you post them or not. I really enjoy going back and looking at stuff, taking videos. You're going to have that camera roll with you for probably the rest of your life. So
Yeah,
at some point, you're going to wish you were documenting that journey.
for sure. Always document the journey, and next time, David, make sure you get the Black Hat MMG memo. So
yeah.
Oh, darn.
missed it,
Check your email, dude.
but thank you guys for joining today. I really, really am glad to have you guys on the MMG team. I think you guys bring a ton of value. Content is always evolving. We're always learning. We're always getting better, and we're going to continue to do that. And I think you guys are the right guys to be doing it. So thank you for being here. And
Thank you.
I'm not going to say we're putting all of our own links below, but we'll put something below. So go check it out. That's M3 Podcast. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.